Social Media News Live. I am so glad that you are here with us. We have a super special guest today. We're going to be talking about some really cool YouTube stuff. So if you know somebody, and I'm raising my hand as who are struggling with YouTube and need some help, this is going to be a perfect show for. So call them in down below, mention them, whatever platform you're watching on. Even if they can't watch, us live, they can watch the replay because it's going to be every show's chock full of good information. But this one, especially, I've been a fan of Nick Nimmin for, I don't know. He does a fabulous Saturday morning live show. He's a live streamer, a YouTuber. He teaches other creators, and he does it in a way that I think is just really down to earth and chock full of value. I've said that so many times already. But anyway, Grace, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Can you tell that we are super excited to be with Nick Nimmin today? I'm giggling now.
I know.
All right, I'm gonna stop. I need to be professional.
No fangirling here. But
No.
somebody I want to fanboy over is Gary Stockton. He says, "Good morning, friends from sunny Huntington Beach." Hey, Gary, thank you for popping in. This is going to be a great show, so ask your questions of Nick. This is what I love about doing the show. It's free consulting for me.
We say that. Well, yeah,
we get these guests in and are just amazing. And so another big YouTuber who's really killing it on his channel is Brian Farrell. He says, "Good evening, lovely people." He's back from his absence, and he's got a new channel. He was just getting ready to cross 1,000 subscribers.
Good job.
So I hope, Brian, that you were able to pass that. And then our friend Sabrina is here as well. So hi, Sabrina. Thank you for stopping by over on LinkedIn. So I am going to hit go on the old podcast machine, unless you have something, Grace, and we will get this show started.
I'm good.
All right, here we go. Hello, folks. Welcome to Social Media News Live. I'm Jeff C., and you're not.
And I'm Grace Duffy, and this is the show that keeps you up to date on what's going on in the world of social media. And on today's show, we have our friend Nick Nimmin here with us, and we are talking to him all about the ways creators can cash in on their YouTube channels. So we're talking about a new integration with Shopify, how they're lowering requirements on the merch shelf, and then also expanding these third-party product tags. It's still a test. We're also going to dig into YouTube Shorts, which I know is a big mystery for a lot of people, a lot of debate, but we're going to get the definitive answer today from Nick on how this format continues to grow and how content creators can monetize their shorts in 2022 as a creator. And then we're also going to ask Nick about his go-to resources for finding support and community when it comes to being a YouTube creator.
Yeah, Nick, so how are you doing today, my friend? And you are dialing in. Are we on a modem or what? But it's just you're dialing in from Thailand. So how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I think you're highlighting our age there with the dialing in, comment. I was about to pick up a phone like old school. I was like, yeah, hey, what's going on? Yes, I'm doing fantastic. I'm after that intro that you gave, like I'm just pumped up to share some good information to everybody that's hanging out here today, and of course, add value to any content creators out there, and hopefully, if there's somebody watching that hasn't pulled the trigger yet on starting to use social media in general, specifically YouTube, to either grow their own personal brand or to grow their business, hopefully we can encourage somebody to do that today.
Yeah. Well, if you liked the intro before, just wait for this one. So if you don't know who Nick is, we're going to introduce you to him because he is a YouTube content creator and educator. He's dedicated to helping other content creators grow and thrive on YouTube. He has amassed over 800,000 subscribers on his Nick Nimmin channel, where you can subscribe, so make sure you guys do that, for YouTube and video tips. His most popular video has amassed over 2.7 million views. I think it's the best video editing app for Android and iPhone. That's the title of it. But if you're a YouTuber, a business owner, or hobbyist interested in making YouTube videos, you'll want to get Nick into your daily video diet because I do for sure. But I'm so excited to have. Can you tell? So we got some other people here going. Let's see. Andrew Kavanagh goes, Nick rocks.
Yeah.
So your fan club is here. And Brian did pass his 1,000. He says he passed in style, and thank you for the help. Well, much appreciated, Brian. Thank you for this. And our friend Tim Sohn is here as well. Thank you, Tim, for stopping by. So another great somebody who has great content is our friends over at Ecamm. They are the sponsor of the show. You can find out more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. They actually have a sale right now going on. It's going to end in July, so you only got a couple more days to do that. It's 30% off for new users. Use the promo code July30, and you can get that 30% off. But make sure you guys go to socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. We appreciate them for sponsoring the show. All right. All the intro stuff's out of the way. This is going to be fun because we're talking about money. So go get it. Go get the money, Grace. Show us the money.
Get the money.
Yeah.
So last week, YouTube revealed a partnership with Shopify to help creators sell products through their live streams and their uploaded videos. And they're also continuing to push shorts, which we're going to talk all about, all the possible monetization opportunities, do that later in the show. But if you are watching us live, tell us if you've noticed more live shopping videos on YouTube lately. And is it making you stop, pause, and watch like it does to me? Or was it just confusing? Let us know in the comments if you're seeing more live shopping videos over at YouTube. But let's get started. Let's begin with the big news, the YouTube integration with Shopify. So YouTube is taking the next steps in its gradual integration of e-commerce tools by enabling these merchants to feature their products across their YouTube channels. But Nick, tell us, how does this work and what do we need to know about it?
So for the Shopify integration, first off, this is huge. I just want to put a big spotlight on that for content creators. So right out of the gate, you have to have 1,000 subscribers for this. So in order to get like a merch shelf or any type of shopping features in the past, you had to have at least 10,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. Now that's been reduced to 1,000, which is huge when it comes to monetization for a lot of content creators, as long as you're over that 1,000 subscriber mark. And the reason that it's huge is because in the past, we only had the option really to have merchandise or t-shirts, essentially mugs, aprons, hats, those types of things that were available on the merch shelf that would show up underneath the videos. Now, through Shopify, we're able to promote our own things. They can be physical products, they can be digital products, and YouTube makes them available in some cases right under the video, and in some cases it'll show up in the shopping, little shopping option that you see on the video itself. But the idea is that as content creators, we are able to promote our own stuff right there directly on the platform, which is a game changer. So, in the marketing world, for anybody that has any type of, digital downloads or, anything like that you sell, if you have personal, like physical products, you can sell those, directly through your Shopify store as well on YouTube. So part of the process is you have to set everything up, and then YouTube has to approve the products that you make available. But once those are approved, then people can buy them right there on YouTube. So the need to send people from a YouTube video down into your video description, over to your website, onto your shopping page, then, have them go through the process over there, that need has now been removed, and you can do all that directly on YouTube now, which is fantastic.
Wow. So just to be clear, you can sell digital products too on YouTube? Because I know a lot of
digital products as well. So for example, once mine gets fixed, because we're in the process of getting mine fixed because I'm having a syncing issue, and that's happened with me and a few other people that I know as well, to where if you have had a Shopify store in the past and then you have a new Shopify store for this, just based on, how things are connected on the back end or whatever, there's just a little bit of an issue, but they're helping me through it. It's just not resolved at this moment in time. But basically, let's say, for example, in my case, because I have a store where I sell like video graphics and things like that. So instead of having to spread the awareness about that every single video that I publish, now I can just take the most popular graphics that are in the store and I can make them available directly underneath the video. So those are all digital products where, people will be able to download the video graphics and, those sorts of things right there from the platform, which is great.
So we've got some great comments here from our friends. I knew that was going to roll out really fast. So we got Nick on the show. Our friend Roger Wakefield, who is amazing. He's also a Texas native.
Roger's the man.
What a great group to learn from today. Roger, thank you so much for chiming in over on Facebook. And Brian says, not surprised you guys said live shopping was coming, and it's coming big everywhere. Yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg, Brian. So it's going to be, there's some really cool stuff coming down the road. And our friend Jim Fuse is saying good morning. But this is the question for Nick. So once again, guys, ask your questions. We got Nick here for a limited amount of time, so I'm going to try to put as many of them up on the screen as I can. But he goes, do you have to have more than the 4,000 watch time hours to have the Shopify store?
So you can have a Shopify store without the 4,000 hours of watch time, but in order for it to integrate with YouTube, you have to be in the YouTube Partner Program. So you will have to have met the requirements of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time on your YouTube channel in order for you to have the option to make that connection.
Okay, and another question. So it's the same thing. You have to get in the partner program first, and then you have that integration. Okay. But Brian goes, can you still use affiliate products when you're doing like a Shopify store?
Yeah, on affiliate products, you'll still need to put those down into your video description. Some things that you might be able to do, and I'll start exploring this a little bit more once I get access to mine, or once the problems get fixed with it. But one thing that I'm going to try to do with mine. So any content creator that's watching or listening to this that works with brands in any capacity, and we're going to be talking about this later too, I believe. But if you work with brands in any capacity, one thing that I'm going to experiment with on mine is creating, some assets maybe for the brands that I work with and making those available for free as maybe, 2 or 3 different slots underneath my video, and just use that as a way to also help bring attention to the brands that I work with. So if that ends up working, then in that scenario, we also might be able to leverage that to not just sell products directly off of, YouTube, but also to continually bring attention to the brands that we work with directly through our videos as well, which that can be something that we can negotiate in order to, get more out of our brand deals and that sort of thing. So, so as of right now, like I said, I have to get mine fixed before I can experiment with that. But the day that it's fixed, I'm going to start adding some of those things just so I can see, one, if we're allowed to do it, because they'll either approve it or deny it. And 2, just so I can, start offering that as a way of exposure or a means of exposure to companies that I work with.
Awesome. So, one of the questions that I saw here is this is a really good one. It's Rich says, what does YouTube take as a cut from the Shopify sales?
Off the Shopify shelf, I'm not sure at this point in time. So basically when it rolled out, I actually haven't found anything from my view. Like I haven't found anything that adds clarity to exactly how much they're taking. I'm sure it's out there. But for me, like when I, let people know about this and last week, and I started, just basically kind of spreading the word about this, I wanted to get it all integrated into, mine first. So since it was broken, I actually haven't put much attention on the Shopify integration since I haven't been able to get mine to work. So because of that, I haven't really went down that rabbit hole too far yet.
Gotcha. So one of the things I do want to talk about just really briefly is if you're looking at a Shopify store, it's not that expensive. And if you've been scared of e-commerce before, because I used to have to build these things, it's so easy. I mean, it's so easy. And it's like, I think $30 a month for a Shopify store, if I remember right. And it also can integrate.
So one thing that I found, Jeff, is if you go through, at least this is what happened to me and one other creator that I know, is if you go into Shopify from within YouTube, me and one other creator that I know, we got a promotion from Spotify when we were creating a new store to upgrade for $1 for a 3-month account. So my guess is that they're doing that for the sake of, just testing it, making it easy and more accessible for people that maybe aren't familiar with Shopify or, any type of e-commerce or something like that. But if you are going to be hitting Shopify and setting up a store and all of that, through your YouTube channel or for the purpose of connecting it to your YouTube channel, instead of going to Shopify.com, go into your monetization tab on your YouTube channel, and then go into your merchandise area there. And then that's the page where you're going to see a little message that will encourage you or prompt you to connect over to Shopify. If you click that link, then that was the way that I was able to get that discount. And then I shared that with somebody else and they were able to do that same exact thing. So I'm not sure. This was last week. So I'm not sure if this is something that they're still doing or not. But before you just type in Shopify.com and try to get it there, instead try to access it through YouTube and you might catch that deal. But it was like $1, I think, for 3 months, which is pretty awesome.
That is really good.
It is.
So
both YouTube and Shopify have been really pushing this. I've seen it for both ends. So they definitely want to encourage people. We have a question from Life of Brian, Jeff.
Okay. Which one is it?
It's can you still use affiliate products?
Yeah, we asked that one already. So,
sorry.
Yeah, so and we think we can. Nick's going to go ahead and experiment more with that. Okay. One of the things I wanted to talk about really quick before we move on is not only with this YouTube integration, it's amazing, but Shopify has some great integration with other platforms like Pinterest. We're going to be talking about YouTube Shorts later, and a lot of those things you could also short, especially because it's vertical video, you could repurpose over on Pinterest really easily and also connect it that way. So Shopify has some really good stuff for e-commerce, and all these platforms want a piece of that. And so just think that through when you're coming up with your strategy, that I can make this short, but I can also use it in these different places as well. So Grace, do you want to take the question about the live shopping? Because I think that's really important too, because I know Nick's a live streamer.
Yeah. So, YouTube did say that you can display your products in 3 ways with this integration: live stream, video, and shopping tab. Are there any other live shopping integrations coming our way from YouTube? And what do you think is going to be next?
So in terms of live shopping integrations, anything that's on my radar, I'm sure they're going to keep pushing it. So basically, like this is just the tip of the iceberg. They have to, figure out how to use it properly, how to maximize it for their profit, and all that stuff first. I'm sure they're going to keep rolling things out, but anything that's on my radar or anything that I have access to, I haven't seen anything in terms of, additional features they're going to be rolling out in the near future. But that does not mean that, they don't have things that they're working on in the back end on their side that they'll be rolling out, soon. Hopefully they just keep expanding this, not just with Shopify, but maybe other platforms as well. I know already there is a platform called Kaya. You spell it, I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but you spell it QAYA.com. And before this Shopify integration even took place, Kaya is another option that you can add to your merch shelf, to where you can just go ahead and start, allowing digital downloads and those sorts of things as well. It's just a different setup than what it is that you do through Shopify. But, with that, my assumption is that they're going to just partner with as many platforms as they can that are reputable, for the sake of helping content creators be able to, access the platforms that they're most familiar with. And also from their end, from an experimental standpoint, it would make sense to do that, just to see, if they figure out which one converts best and those sorts of things.
So real quick, I want to just clarify for Andrew. He goes, to create a Shopify store, do you have to have the 4,000 watch time hours? So yes. you could go create one now, but you won't have that integration with YouTube until, Shopify is a separate thing. If you want to have your own store, because I've built one and I don't have that, the partner program, right? So you can do that, but it's not going to integrate with your YouTube account. So I think that's what you were asking. So really quickly.
He said thank you. So
okay,
it sounds like we answered him.
Okay.
Yep.
So another thing it's product rollout last week, we learned that YouTube's expanding its test of third-party product tags in video. So this enables chosen creators to tag products featured in their video clips, with the creator being paid directly by YouTube for using these item highlights. So YouTube launched this program first back in April, but it's inviting more creators to participate. Do you know who has access to this update, Nick? And where is it available? How do you find it? Any information you can give us on that?
So there's one content creator that I've seen it on, and I can't remember his name. I mentioned him in one of my news episodes. I think it was maybe my first or second news episode on my YouTube channel that I mentioned his name, so that people could go and actually see what it looks like. But he's the only one that I've personally seen it on. I'm sure it's on more, but as they start rolling that out, to more content creators, that's just another way that we can make money. Like with everything it is that they're doing right now, with Shopify, with the tagging, with everything that they're doing to help creators monetize. For me, that's just a huge win as a content creator, because one of the biggest hurdles that people have when it comes to creating content is getting enough views in order to make it worthwhile. But with YouTube making all of these other monetization options available, they're kind of allowing us to diversify, or creating the opportunity or the environment where we can diversify our income and all the different things that we can sell and make available through our channels. So, because of that, when they do roll out that tagging across the board, or if they do, as long as, all their experimentation, ends up being positive and all that. But if they roll it out, that's just going to be one more of those things that we're all going to be able to use as a way to, increase our bottom line, so to speak. But the way that it works is when you do see the videos with it, what you'll see is you'll see a little tag down in the bottom corner of the video, and it'll just say, it says something like shopping or something like that. But when you click it, then on a mobile device, it opens the videos up underneath, or the items, I should say, underneath, and it looks similar to the merch shelf when that happens. Or if you're on a desktop computer, it opens up on the right-hand side of the video. And then once you click on it, then what's cool there is it actually opens up essentially a sales page for that item, to where it gives a lot more information, and then you can make a purchase right there on the spot. But from a content creator perspective, because, there's the, hey, I might be able to sell stuff through this as a marketer, but then there's also the content creator perspective. So from a content creator's perspective, this is a win, because in addition to showing the products that are listed, they'll also show some similar products, but then they'll also show a row of videos of content creators making videos about that particular product. So let's say, for example, that you made a review video about a Shure microphone like this, and it was tagged in that particular video. Then in that particular case, when you make that video, or let's say somebody else did, and somebody clicked on a content creator that's just a huge channel, and they go and they explore, that particular product, and they see your video down there at the bottom, as, let's say, a newer content creator. As long as your video performs well, then in that particular case, you have that opportunity to show up down there, and that can also be a way that people are going to be able to discover you. So in my opinion, which, doesn't matter really in terms of, all of this, but in my opinion, I think that was a brilliant move by YouTube, because what that's going to do is, in my opinion, that's going to cause an explosion in the amount of people that are doing reviews, because all of this stuff is integrated now. So then by causing that explosion, in my opinion, that's going to basically help facilitate all of this stuff that they're rolling out to content creators through all these different, shopping features that they're doing.
Awesome.
Well, your opinion matters to us. It is gold. So,
well, I mean,
your opinion,
just like it doesn't influence YouTube or anything, weird like that. So I'm just saying, I just like to make those disclaimers.
So, Jim Fuse has this question for us. He says, who is providing the merch in these cases, and who is responsible for logistics and returns? So I guess if you're showcasing a product from a third party and it's not yours, who's responsible for that?
Yeah, if you're showcasing a product that's a third party that's not yours, then in that case, that third party would be the person that would handle it. If you did have, personal products that you sold, physical products, then in that case, if you had it in like an Amazon warehouse, if you're doing something through like Amazon FBA or something like that, then they would still, handle the, the shipment and all that for you there. However, if you had something individually, like let's say that you had a YouTube channel where you were making crafts. Let's say you're doing like resin something or others, right? Let's say you just had a resin product. Then in that particular case, then you would need to, to handle the shipping, as long as YouTube approved it. So I'm not 100% sure yet on the, as it relates to Shopify, I'm not 100% sure yet if you have your own physical product that you ship from, like, let's say your house. I don't know if they would approve that compared to your own physical product that you had publicly available through, outlets like Etsy and Amazon and things like that. So because of that, I'm just going to lean on the side of things to where, if you're holding it personally, it's kind of iffy there if you're shipping it out of your house or, maybe your own office. But if you are working with one of the, shopping or, one of these big shopping networks, then in that case, they would handle that for you. I know places like when it comes to merchandise, like shirts, aprons, things like that, like if you use like Spreadshop, for example, then with them, you just upload your design over there, and then that's all you have to do, and then spread awareness about your merch, and then they will take care of everything else for you, the printing, the delivery, all aspects of it. So hopefully, with the Shopify side of things, all of that type of deliverability, I guess we would call that. Hopefully, that'll all be handled through third parties, or a service of some kind will pop up for content creators that'll make it possible for that to happen, if you are somebody that's just shipping stuff out of your garage, for example.
Right. So I know that when I did connected my Shopify store with Pinterest required me to have a shipping policy and a privacy policy and all this stuff before they would approve you. So I'm assuming something like that was going to happen with Amazon, if you're not doing like, you're selling, Amazon products or whatever, and they're going to have a thing that makes sure that that's covered, because the last thing YouTube is going to want is having all these people complaining about, where's my t-shirt, kind of a thing. Right. So anyway.
So are these product tags only available for uploaded videos, or are they available for live videos? So if we're doing live, like right now, we're on Amazon, and Jeff can add things to our little product shelf as we bring them up. Like if we're going to talk about this, that, or the other. But is this something that there's a live component, or does it have to be a pre-recorded video like
So
that?
my understanding right now it's pre-recorded, but right now they're just in the testing phase.
Yeah,
so when
yeah.
YouTube is in the testing phase of different features that they have, sometimes they can take a really long time to roll out, to across platform. So right now they're in that testing phase. So since they are in that particular phase, as it relates to live streaming itself, as soon as it starts rolling out to more content creators and all that, we'll get a lot more information about that. But to my understanding right now, it's only available on videos on demand.
Gotcha.
And then how is this different than the merch shelf, which I know is now available which I know because of Nick, I should say, that is now available with channels of 1,000 subscribers, and that was previously down from, I think, 10,000. So how is the product tags different from what they've already created with this merch shelf?
So the merch shelf shows up underneath your videos. So that'll be, video on demand. That'll be a live stream as well. So your merch shelf will show up as long as you're viewing it from a country that, can actually see it. Then the merch shelf will show up underneath a video or a live stream. So when it comes to the product tagging, it's a little bit different because you're more like referencing products instead of saying like, hey, these are the things that I have available for you to purchase. It's more about, in this video, I'm talking about this microphone and this audio interface, and then YouTube makes that connection instead of it being like a product that you're necessarily selling. So it's more of something, or it's more along the lines of, these are the things that are, that this video is about. So therefore, we're going to, add those there as long as the creator adds the, the right tags for it. Instead of, you can start clicking on these things down here at the bottom that will take you in to be able to buy like a t-shirt or, something like that.
Gotcha.
So it's more of like the tagging is more of like a reference, where the merch shelf is more like, hey, you're going into, to actually buy these things that you're buying from me in some capacity.
Gotcha. So we can get Niminati t-shirts when we watch your
aprons.
show.
And aprons.
That's right. That is the best name, I have to admit, the Niminati. I think that's just a great name.
You know Gord Eisman?
I've heard his name. Yeah.
Yeah, so Gord is actually the one that came up with that. So my brother and I, we used to do a live stream together. We're actually, now that he's back in Thailand, we're talking about doing it again. But we during our live streams that we did together for a long time, we, one of the things with a deeper side of branding is, coming up with a name for your community. And, everybody uses nation and team and, like all of these types of things. And I was like, man, I know the importance of having that, but I just couldn't come up with a good name. So during a live stream, I was like, hey, if anybody has any ideas, let us know. And everybody started throwing all these names in the chat. And then Gord said Niminati. And then, everybody's like, yeah, Niminati. And then we saw it, like, oh yeah, that's great. So, that became the thing.
And because I mentioned merch, but it is a really cool T-shirt that says Niminati on it. It's just a really cool shirt. So
Thank you.
Anyway, so we're gonna move on to the next section. We're gonna be talking about YouTube Shorts, and I want to know who watches YouTube Shorts. So let us know down below wherever you're watching from YouTube Shorts, and what kind of shorts do you watch? Do you watch recipes? Do you watch product reviews? Do you watch like found on Amazon? I mean, what is it that you watch with shorts? Because I'm really interested to see that. My daughter's a TikTok person, so she's always sending me TikTok stuff. I'm on YouTube. I see shorts. So what do you guys use? So moving on to shorts. One of the things that I wanted to talk to Nick about is, that YouTube continues to invest in shorts. Everybody seems to be copying TikTok. That's the big boy on the block right now. And earlier this month, YouTube added new creative features for shorts and shared that shorts clips now average over 30 billion with a B, daily views. And so, of course, creators want to know how to monetize this growth. And they said that the early monetization efforts there have been promising, according to YouTube executives during their earnings call, but they didn't say any more detail. So YouTube is, competing just like Facebook is and Instagram for ad dollars for the rival TikTok. So, Nick, we are familiar what it takes to collect, ad revenue from long form videos, but what does it take to monetize YouTube Shorts in 2022 as a creator?
First, you have to make sure that you're compliant with the YouTube community guidelines and all of that in order for the Shorts Fund. With this, I'm only talking about the Shorts Fund, but we can talk about other ways to monetize as well. But basically, they have one thing called a Shorts Fund. The amount that they pay out for the Shorts Fund is between $100 and $10,000 on a month, per month, which is pretty fantastic. But for the qualifications for that, you have to, of course, be compliant with the YouTube community guidelines, with the YouTube terms of service, their copyright policies, monetization policies and all of that. You also have to have uploaded a short within the last 180 days. And your channel doesn't have to be monetized itself, but you do need to have an AdSense account because that's how they actually pay out, if you get the Shorts Fund. In addition to that, you also have to be in a qualifying country, but it's a pretty big list. I'm assuming that most of the people that are watching this are probably going to be on that list. In addition to that, because you were just talking about your daughter with TikTok. So one of the things that a lot of content creators are doing is they will make a video for TikTok, and if it does well there, then they'll be like, hey, let me put this on my channel, and put it out as a YouTube short. When you do that, just as a heads up, if you have the TikTok watermark on there, if you have any type of Instagram watermark, anything like that, then that will disqualify you from the Shorts Fund. So it has to be original content, or at least it needs to look original, like original content that you upload to YouTube for the purpose of, showing it to their viewers. So that's the thing when it comes to the Shorts Fund. But other ways that you could monetize in the future, they're actually talking about making super thanks available, which I'm sure people will use. If you're not familiar with super thanks, what it is, YouTube has for YouTube Live, they have a feature called Super Chat. And with Super Chat, it's where they can, they just click a button and they can donate directly to you. On videos, they have the option called Super Thanks, which is essentially a version of Super Chat, but it's for videos, to where if somebody enjoys the content in a video, they can click a button to essentially donate to that creator as a thanks. And then it'll show the amount right next to the comment and things like that for the person that donated. When it comes to the super thanks, that's something that they said that they plan on testing in Q4. So that doesn't mean that we're all going to get it in Q4. It just means that, they're going to be testing it, by the end of the year. In terms of other ways that you can monetize, of course, when it comes to YouTube Shorts, content, regardless if it's written, if it's audio, if it's video, if it's long form video, short term video, very long live streams, anything like that, one of the ways that you can monetize anything is by spreading awareness about the things that, that you care about or that you're just trying to bring attention to. So YouTube Shorts is the same exact way, to where you can make a very short clip to where, maybe you pose a problem of some kind, and then the product or service that you personally offer, or the thing that you're trying to bring attention to as an affiliate, to where that would necessarily, or that could be like the hero, so to speak, of that particular short. You can take that approach. You can put Shorts have descriptions where you can put affiliate links down into descriptions. You can put website links down in your descriptions, things like that. So for example, if you're somebody that, because I know we go to like a mostly marketing crowd through through this show. So and as it relates to marketing, let's say that you had a video on let's say 3 tips to get higher conversions on your landing page. Then in that particular case, you could give those 3 tips, and then you could say, to learn more, I've got a PDF you can download in the description, or something like that, just like you would do in a YouTube video. And then people can click on a 3-dot menu in the short shelf, and then they can click on the description option, and then they can go down there and find it. Another thing that you could do there is, if you did have a very easy to remember website name, then you could say, even if it was your channel name or something like that, then in that particular case, you could say, to learn more, or to buy this thing, or, whatever it is that you have to be showcasing. Then you could just say whatever your website is, maybe put a little graphic on the screen with your website on it, something like that. But one thing that I just want to, highlight is, when it comes to, selling through social media or YouTube, we'll just call that specifically. One of the things that you have to remember when it comes to YouTube is, if you want your content to perform well, everything on the platform is based on performance. So if you are going to be doing hard sells like that and trying to get people to hit your description and download PDFs and things like that out of the short shelf, it is important to know that it's possible that can negatively impact your video performance or your shorts performance. So because of that, just keep that in mind when it comes to, trying to send people off of platform. But if you're using YouTube for the sake of marketing, you probably understand that already, and it's worth driving people off, because that's the whole reason that you have your YouTube channel in the first place. But what I recommend is that you balance it out. So when it comes to balancing out, what I recommend is that you have, like a short that is 100% value, maybe 2 or 3 that are just 100% nothing but value. You're not trying to drive anybody off site. You're just trying to have a high performing piece of content, and then have, your money stuff that you put out. Just make that part of your content strategy, to where every 4 videos, 5 videos, these are where I drop the videos that probably aren't going to perform as well because I'm driving people off platform. However, they are serving the purpose of my YouTube channel, which is driving revenue, or, giving me leads, or whatever the thing is that you're trying to accomplish with your YouTube channel.
Awesome. So realistically, how much can creators expect to earn from the Shorts Fund? Do you have any
between $100 and 10,000 is their limit? I know one guy, he's in my membership group. I think it was like $6,000 on his for 1 month. He made $6,000. So in terms of the limit, you can you can absolutely hit that 10,000 mark. You just have to have high performing content, and it has to be in front of the right audience, which is a really big part of it. So getting a lot of views is one thing, but getting the right views is where the money starts happening in every single aspect, in terms of your ad rates, for your videos, in terms of, getting money from the shorts, it all comes down to where people are watching your videos from.
So on the shorts, is it, when it first rolled out, everybody, people said, hey, create a whole nother channel for shorts. And then other people were saying, oh, the shorts will help you get more subscribers to your channel that you want to grow. Is there still that thought about shorts, or is it just like another thing you need to do for your channel to monetize?
I wouldn't say it's another thing you need to do. It's more of a thing that you can do.
Okay.
So when it comes to, just the internet in general, we all have this feeling that we have to do like all the things. Like, you don't have to do it just because it's there. But it is one of those things that will get you in front of new audiences. So when it comes to YouTube Shorts, the win with YouTube Shorts is that people don't have to choose to click on your content. It just happens to them. So they're just sitting there in the short shelf, they scroll, and then bam, there's your video. You grab their attention, take them through, the experience that you're giving them, and then they can watch more of yours, or they can move on. But when it comes to longer form content, you have to get them to click first. So because of that, a lot of content creators will just start with YouTube Shorts, or they'll start leaning towards YouTube Shorts if their longer form videos don't perform as well, just because they see the view counts coming in, which is fine. However, there's been a problem about people converting from the short form content to the long form content. So if somebody, enjoys that content, it's possible they might go explore your YouTube channel page and find your long form content that way. It's also possible that if they watch, a handful of your shorts, that YouTube will recommend your long form content to them, but then you're stuck in that position again to where you still got to get them to click on your long form content. So when it comes to the YouTube Shorts, it's just easier, right? In terms of, getting viewership. But one thing that I want to highlight here is, I mentioned in my news update today that YouTube is rolling out right now. Actually, they're rolling out where you are going to have the option right from the YouTube app itself to go into your archive of videos. And by archive, it doesn't matter if you've been on YouTube for a decade or if you've been on YouTube for a month and you have several videos on your channel. Any of the videos that you have on your channel, you're going to be able to go in and clip out a section. And I got to be careful with the language that I use, because they actually have a clipping feature, which is totally different, and they have a cut feature, which is also different. But with the thing that they're rolling out, how it works is, you go to one of your videos and you convert essentially one of your longer form videos into a short. That short needs to be 60 seconds, and it has to be a video from your channel. It's not a video that you can react to or anything like that. It has to be a video on your channel. So you can cut out a segment of your video that is 60 seconds. And here's where the win is happening in terms of building that bridge. So you cut out that video of 60 seconds. And then if somebody's watching that YouTube short, there's going to be a direct link back to the originating video. So it's going to be a way to put that content in front of people and have people have a way that they can directly go and see, like, hey, I really like the content that I got here in the 60 seconds. Let me click and watch the longer version of this. So this is a bridge that YouTube is trying to build, because it has been a challenge for content creators to get people that are responding to their short form content to respond to their long form content. And this is kind of the feature that they're rolling out to hopefully try to fix that.
So I would think, like, if you were a recipe creator, that you would like to show the big final thing would be you want to have your sexy shots or whatever to get those people to go watch your whole thing? Like, okay, this is how you make the thing from start to the end, kind of stuff. Okay, that's
Perfect
really cool.
use case.
That's
Perfect
really
use case. Yeah. Like in that one, to where, you show all the good stuff, right? Like, hey, this is the thing. Oh, it's delicious, so on and so forth. Learn how to make this, click this little, icon down here. Yeah, that's a perfect use case for that.
Awesome.
So do you have any tactics or tools for, let's say that I've had a YouTube channel for 5 years. I've got hundreds and hundreds of videos. I don't remember every single one. Is there a way to like comb through all of those and find like, here's some key moments, or what's a good way to kind of start that process of using that tool?
You just got to go through it. Like, you have to just, watch the video and think to yourself, what do I have on my channel that would be a good short? I mean, technically, you could use the key moments in your audience retention reports, but that's also not something that you can see at a quick view. Like, you would have to go into each individual video and look, for that particular stat. But when it comes to the videos, you just have to go through them. So it doesn't mean just because it is available for longer form content, and they are kind of selling it. Like, one of the things that they suggest with this particular update is that you do use it as a way to bring attention to some of your, older content on the channel. But just because that's kind of the intention, or at least how they're selling it right now, doesn't mean that you even have to do that. Like, you could just start doing it from the videos that you've made over the last 30 days, for example, just to try to bring attention to them. And then at any moment where you're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, yeah, you know what, I did make that video about this thing that would be a great short, then you could go do it at that moment in time without having to spend tons of time on it, because all of us are more familiar with the content that we've recently put out compared to the things that we were doing, 5 years ago. And with that said, what we were doing 5 years ago, we might not want to make a short out of that, now, now that we know a lot more these days, right?
Yeah, my Google Plus videos aren't going to do very well. So Brian
says, comedy side though, those might do well.
That's right, exactly.
No, we should do one of like, this is where we were wrong.
That's right. Yeah, boy,
did we miss the mark on that one?
Yes, I invested in this NFT. Brian goes, I like that. I've been experimenting with shorts of my long form videos, but struggling with how to link it back to the long video. So this is rolling out, Brian. So I don't think it's to everybody yet, but yeah, I think it'll be very, very cool when it rolls out. Nick, I wanted to ask, so we talked a little bit about TikTok, and don't upload stuff that has like the Instagram or the TikTok watermark on it, because a lot of creators are doing that because, it's repurposing. Do you see a difference in the type of content, like a TikTok video, it's going to do well in shorts if you take that watermark out, or are they two different platforms? I mean, that short form content, the vertical short form content, is there a big difference between shorts and TikTok videos?
They're the same thing essentially, but the only difference with the short is that it's actually short. So with TikTok, they expanded theirs into long forms. Now you can upload long form vertical content to TikTok, where YouTube, they're keeping it short. So great move, by the way, of TikTok to do that. Like, okay, you're going to make shorts, no problem. We're going to, try to do this on the long form side. So great move on TikTok's part for that. But with YouTube, the difference is that you have to keep it within that 60-second mark.
Gotcha. So we got some comments I want to pull up. We asked, who is, watching YouTube Shorts, and Jim says he rarely watches them because he's always on Amazon. That's the reason. Then Sabrina says she hasn't watched them much either. But when we were talking about the Niminati, a Facebook user says, I love the voice that comes up when somebody sends Nick a super chat during his live events. I think that's your voice, isn't it?
Super chat.
Yeah. Is that you?
Yeah, let me turn that up a little bit. It's this.
Yeah, good again.
Super chat.
Yeah, so that's Travis MCP is who made that. So he's made a few of these. I also have some voices from Mike Russell over at Music Radio Creative as well.
Yeah,
so those are the fun elements for me for the live stream.
Right. So Chris goes, great point on the watermark. I always see people upload to TikTok and then just save that video and repurpose everywhere else. It details. Yeah. So I know, like on Instagram, they'll actually like not delist it, but they'll shove it out down farther in the algorithm. So very, very cool. So yeah.
My concern with that would be music rights, right? Because like I've seen that happen where someone will share it everywhere, and then you see it on another platform, and like this music has been deleted, or this music, and then you get flagged for that. So my concern would be those music rights.
So for getting the shorts in the shorts program, where you can get money from it, is there the shorts fund? Do you have to watch the music rights, or is there music that YouTube has already approved that you can use for your shorts? How does that work, Nick?
When it comes to shorts, the same rules apply, across the platform
Okay.
in terms of, not using something that you don't have the rights to. However, YouTube has secured rights for a lot of songs, and you can find those within the short shelf itself.
Okay.
So in order to find the music that YouTube is like, hey, you have the rights to use, these songs, then you just find that within the shorts camera. So as you're creating your shorts within the short camera, that's where you find that. If you have content that you've created elsewhere and then you upload it into there, then you can still assign a song to it. And when you assign that song to it, then again, it's going to show you that list of songs that they already have. So the approach that you want to take there, if you just want to be 100% safe, is either one, don't use music at all. Two, use our music service, which is called creatormix.com, by the way, but use our music service, or go into YouTube and just make sure that you don't have any music in it before you upload it into YouTube Shorts, and then go in there and add the sound to it for the actual music track.
Awesome.
Okay, tell us again where to get the music.
It's creatormix.com.
Creatormix.com.
Yeah. So this resource was made by my brother and myself. So we've made some of the music. We purchase, some of the music as well, but we get full rights to the music so that we can give it freely to YouTube content creators.
And I believe Nick has a link to that from his website that we're actually putting up on the screen right now. So if you're listening to the podcast,
I'm not sure if I've updated it yet. I haven't updated that website in so long. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I do. Yeah. If not, I'll race and do it after this is finished.
So
if you find him on YouTube, Nick Nimmin on YouTube, he talks about it in his latest videos. So that's another resource that is more up to date.
And I wanted to mention his name for the podcast listeners. It's Nick Nimmin. Nimmin is spelled NIMMIN.com, and that's where you can be talking. Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Very, very cool. So another comment really quick I wanted to bring up is that so we were talking about the Nimminati and the sound effects, and I said when I hear it, I can't get that phrase out of my head for an entire day. So it does it's one of those earworms that gets in there when you hear it.
Well, you can listen to this show as a podcast, so it can be stuck in your head tomorrow, too.
You should do an ASMR YouTube channel. That would just be him hitting that button over and over. So real quick, before we move on, I want to make another shout out to our friends over at Ecamm. You can find out more about them at socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm, and make sure you check out their sale that ends at the end of July. Use the code July30 to get 30% off. That's socialmedianewslive.com/Ecamm. Thanks for them for sponsoring the show. All right, Grace, our final section. Let's talk about this.
Before we move on, I wanted to ask one more question about shorts.
Sorry,
I don't want to go. No, that's okay. It's just that we had so many great comments, and we tried to highlight the comments, but I want to talk about getting brand deals to monetize YouTube Shorts, because that was something that was mentioned in all of these announcements. They had their Q2 earnings calls, and they kept mentioning brand deals. And I want to know about, how do you make yourself stand out to qualify for them, or where do you look for them, and how do you just say, hey, look at me, I want a brand deal? Like, how does that work?
So when it comes to YouTube specifically, they have something called Brand Connect that once you qualify for it, then you can, basically go into that, and then it puts your YouTube channel in kind of like a marketplace of sorts, to where brands can reach out to you directly through it. So there's that. But then there's also the side, like if you want to work with brands and, monetize your shorts in that way, one thing that I tried to just help creators think about when it comes to brand deals is that if you're going to be a YouTube content creator, leveraging YouTube to the point that you're going to be, trying to get brand deals for what it is that you're doing, it's important to, one, start approaching YouTube as, of course, the content creator, but also with a very focused business mind. And the reason for that is because when it comes to brand deals, it's essentially a sales process when you're first getting started. Eventually, you'll have people, like, for example, if I open up my email right now, I've got probably 10 people that I've gotten emails from, 5 at least, that I've gotten emails from today, of people that are like, hey, we want to sponsor a video on your channel or something like that. But when you're first getting started, it's a sales process. So what you have to do is you have to basically write down a list of companies that you would love to work with that would be a great fit for your content, your audience. And then from there, then start reaching out to those companies, start keeping track of who it is that you're talking to there and their roles there. You want to reach out to the influencer marketing people on LinkedIn, for example, but you want to put together like a media kit of some sorts that lets people know exactly what it is that you are offering for your sponsorships, the placements, the, how much it costs, those sorts of things. And then you just want to start cold calling people, either through email, through LinkedIn, through, the actual telephone, which which, is surprisingly effective these days because people don't use it as much. But when it comes to getting brand deals, it's important to just look at it as, part of the process. You have to continually, depending on your approach, you have to continually be on the grind, so to speak, for, trying to bring in new sponsors. The other side of that is that you just find a couple of great companies to work with or a handful of great companies to work with on a long-term basis, and that keeps you off the hamster wheel. But you put your eggs in just like a few baskets in that scenario, but it's also much easier to manage and things like that. But the big idea is that you just start looking at it as a sales process, and you think to yourself, okay, these are the companies that I want to work with that'd be a great fit for my channel, my audience. And so I'm going to start, going through the process of turning these, these companies into leads, and then hopefully, eventually sales, and make that list as big as you possibly can, because you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of people that don't respond, or a lot of people that say that they're not interested in this moment in time. But the idea is that you start, putting yourself out there, and you start going through the process of, trying to open those doors. Because the biggest problem when it comes to, and I've asked this question with everybody every company that I've worked with, the biggest problem that companies have when it comes to, knowing content creators to work with is they just don't even, they might not even know you're on the radar, but you might be the perfect fit for them. But they just don't even know you exist yet because you haven't reached out to them. So because of that, just look at it like a sales process. You're trying to get, on their radar, essentially is what you're trying to do. And then of course, over time, convert them into either a short term in terms of, a video or a couple of videos or 3 videos on your channel, or long term to where you work out more longer term arrangements with them.
So real quick, a great resource that I found, and this is from the Dealcasters, Jim and Chris. There's a guy named Justin Moore. He has a YouTube channel, but he talks all about brand deals. He's got a great newsletter that he sends out each week. If you want to get that link to that newsletter, send me a DM, and I'll shoot that to you because it's really helped me out too. But
Justin's fantastic. Brand Deal Wizard is what his YouTube channel is. Brand Deal Wizard. Yeah, Justin is fantastic, and the information that he's sharing over there is extremely valuable and insightful just through the experience that he's had, from his YouTube channels.
Yeah, so that's a great resource too. All right, Grace. So we got a few minutes left, so I'll let you take it away. You do it better.
We want to talk about the ways that YouTube is supporting creators, not just helping creators support themselves. And YouTube is constantly looking to support creators. Just this last few weeks, they rolled out this thing called the Creator Safety Center, and it helps creators navigate unwanted interactions and attention on the app. As what happens when you start getting bigger and bigger, you start attracting all kinds of attention. And it says that YouTube has said that none of these links, tips, advice is anything new, but they've put it together in one coordinated resource. But that's not all. I heard on one of your YouTube videos, and this was a guest that you usually have on your Saturday streams, your friend Renee Ritchie, who's there from time to time, and he's now the YouTube creator liaison. So what does that mean for creators, and what is his function inside YouTube? And is he someone that, I don't know, you could contact directly and be like, hey, like I have this problem, or how is his function in the company going to work?
So he's definitely not customer support in that regard. But basically, his role there is to represent the perspective of content creators. So with Renee, he's been a content creator. He grew his YouTube channel, I think, to like 200 and something thousand subscribers in his first year on YouTube. He's well embedded into like the YouTube tech space. He knows a lot of the bigger creators in that space as well. So he's a YouTuber. He's a content creator first. And because of that, he is able to share with YouTube, hey, these are the things we think about. These are the problems we have with all my YouTuber friends. These are, this is some of the feedback that I'm getting from them, about YouTube and things we can do to improve, and, things, just problems, general problems that people have with YouTube. So the way to look at his role is he's kind of like the voice of content creators to YouTube. Right. Okay. So in that regard, his role is extremely important because, he's kind of the face of all of us, facing towards them. So, congratulations to him for that gig, first off. But that particular role, he's a liaison, between, content creators and YouTube, essentially.
So what are some other resources or communities that you recommend for creators to continue to learn and to kind of grow from one another?
So YouTube by themselves, they have something called, it's called YouTube Tips, I think it is. If you go to the Google help pages, and a lot of people don't know about this, even though it's extremely publicly available. If you go to Google and you type in like YouTube help pages or Google help pages, then as you scroll down the page just barely, you're going to see, official Google, websites there. So as you click into that, it's going to take you into like a help area. And that help area contains, YouTube, Google Ads, analytics, or Google Analytics, Google Webmaster, stuff, all of their properties and support for their properties. But within that, they also share a bunch of really helpful information for us in terms of, feature updates and policy updates and all of that. They also teach us what they think is important about YouTube and the things that they're trying to do with YouTube and what we can do better as creators, with our content in order to perform better on the platform and those types of things. But within all of that, they also have, if you go into the YouTube area, they also have an area called YouTube Tips or Creator Tips. I can't remember the exact name. It's either YouTube Tips or Creator Tips. And when you click on that, it's like a educational resource for people that are just getting started on YouTube. So that's the very first one that I want to put on the list. They used to have something called the YouTube Creator Academy, but they let that one go, or they shut it down. And then now they're just slowly adding more and more to the Creator Tips or YouTube Tips option that they have inside of the Google help pages. But I really recommend, it's really easy to listen to podcasts and watch videos like mine, talking about, hey, these are the things you need to do. But seeing it in written form like that, just coming directly from Google and saying like, hey, these are the things that are, that are important to them. These are the things that I just need to know if I'm going to be operating on this platform. I really encourage anybody watching this to go and just dig around there, and you'll learn a ton, not just from the YouTube Tips or Creator Tips area by itself, but just by looking around and seeing all the information they have available as it relates to YouTube and how they're, how what you're doing, or how you should be doing what it is that you're doing, for the best possible results there on the platform. So I really recommend that you go there as the very first source. In addition to that, there's tons of, Facebook groups, subreddits, Discord groups where people are, sharing their experiences as a YouTube content creator. People are, like, for example, Brian G. Johnson has a group on Facebook called Tube Ritual. That is a super valuable group for YouTube content creators. Daryl Eves has one called Video Makers and Marketers that a lot of content, also, amazing. I have one that I don't really do that much with called YouTube and Video Tips, but I would go to the other two first before that one, because even though I check into that one from time to time, it's not something that I'm aggressively trying to grow. Right. But I would go to the other two first. But those are the best ones on YouTube that are available on Facebook right now. Actually, let me back that up a little bit. So Tom Nash also made one called I think it's called YouTube Creators. That one's really good as well. So those three are the ones that you should definitely check out on Facebook. On Reddit, they have new tubers. So if you're just trying to get some basic understanding of what's going on, that's a great place to start. But be warned, there are a lot of kids in that particular one, a lot of people that are starting in like gaming and things like that. Right. So because of that, you might want to go into one called YouTubers. In that particular one, there's new people in there too, but then there's also a lot of people like myself that will frequent that one that have just a lot more experience and things like that, and they can give you real information instead of just, hey, this is a thing that I heard that you should do type of information. Right. So I think those are all fantastic resources to get you started. And if you have the opportunity, I also recommend that you go to conferences from time to time if you're wanting to do any of this stuff. Like Vid Summit that we mentioned earlier is a conference for YouTube content creators that I really recommend everyone go to if you're serious about not just growing on YouTube, but using YouTube and other forms of video to grow your influence online as a whole, like your influence, your brand, your company, your income, all of that is covered at Vid Summit. So I really recommend that you do go to in-person conferences like that as well. I know Social Media Marketing World, they also have like a video or YouTube arm of their conference as well. Both of them are fantastic. But when it comes to Vid Summit, the difference there is that the entire thing is focused on online video. So I just really recommend if you are a YouTube content creator and you happen to be in LA, or you live close to LA and you're going to be there somewhere between the 27th and 29th of September, that you definitely check out Vid Summit as well. And by the way, I'm not like, a shill or being paid to like promote or anything. I've been going to Vid Summit since I was able to. It's just it's an amazing conference, and it's put together by Daryl Eves, and who a lot of the people watching this probably know already, and Mr. Beast, who is now within the top 5 YouTube channels on YouTube. It's them that actually that run the whole thing.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
The final question
genres.
I wanted to ask you is, okay, there's a lot of so-called YouTube gurus or experts out there. And a lot of times it seems they just go and listen to you or Daryl Eves or, Tim Schmoyer and just regurgitate stuff. So how do you know, like somebody who's watching this, who's like, okay, I'm sold. I want to start my YouTube channel. But they see all these videos on how to grow your YouTube or whatever. How do they go through the smell test? Like the sniff test to make sure that
that's tough. And the reason that's tough is because like one of the ways that you could say that is if you were to look at somebody's YouTube channel and they have 10 videos on their YouTube channel and those videos are about like how to go viral on YouTube and the YouTube algorithm and things like that, and all their videos have, like 100 views on them, then there's a pretty good chance that they're just not off to a great start, at this moment in time. And maybe they don't have the experience, that they want or that they're, trying to convey. But then in other cases, some people that, that work as consultants that work with, big brands on their YouTube channels and things like that, they do start YouTube channels and, they'll start sharing information there and it's really valuable information. But because they don't have, what people expect to see from the outside, like what I was just talking about, then people won't take them seriously until, they usually get to a certain point. Without, name calling, I actually have somebody that I know that is extremely reputable in the industry. And he did that. He started a YouTube channel. He was on YouTube, I think, for like 2 years, uploading consistently. And even though they grew the channel to around, I think, like 10 or 15,000 subscribers, they just didn't get, that response that you would think that you should get. And one of the things when it comes to YouTube is that in addition to, having the right video ideas at the right time that you're putting out, there's also the other side of things, which is that somebody could be really knowledgeable in what it is that they're doing, but they might just not be great at presenting the content itself. And then that could cause them to get results that aren't, where you would look at it and be like, oh, hey, that's not great. But they might be able to tell you, how to do, something that is fantastic. So because of that, I would say just dig in and just try to research that person and, look at them, historically, try to find out, other stuff about them online in terms of, trying to figure out where their experience came from or whatever. Like when it comes to this stuff, there's tons of channels that will start making videos about like how to grow on YouTube as an example, because they think that it's easy. But the funny thing is when people start those types of channels, most of them quickly learn that you're competing with people that actually know what it is that they're doing. Right. Yeah. So because of that, it's not like you're competing against, Bob, who's making, videos in his bedroom and just trying to get videos of it and not, like really focused on the thing. You're competing against, people that do this professionally that are, not just doing it themselves, but they're teaching other people how to do it. So the competition is pretty fierce in terms of this space. So you definitely have to come into play. But one thing that I do want to say is, just because somebody is new or just because they are taking, someone else's information and they are sharing it, like let's say somebody watches one of my videos and they're like, hey, that was really good. I'm going to make a video and say, similar things. As long as what they're saying is accurate, which is a really hard thing to, determine if you're just watching their video, I mean, it's still, information. So I would just encourage you to just kind of think through the information that they're sharing, maybe try to vet the information. So for example, if you watch any of my videos, every single thing that I tell you in my videos, you can confirm what I say to you, looking through those Google Help pages that I was talking about before. Some of that is also mixed with like the YouTube Creator Academy, which is currently, it's offline now, but you could technically go to archive.org, I think it is, or the, the Wayback Machine, whatever, and you could still pull up, that information. But, you just want to make sure that you are just thinking it through, right? Like if you click on a video that says, how to go viral, with every video you publish in the next 30 days, and that video has 300 views on it, there's probably a good chance that the information they're sharing with you is not going to, help you go viral for the next 30 days. Right. Yeah. But, yeah, like that's a really tough question to answer. I've never been asked that before. That's definitely a really tough question to answer, just because, there are people with great information out there, but they just might not have like the camera presence or, something like that in order to, to pull it off in a way to where, to where it causes their channel to also be successful along with the information. So that's a really tough question.
Yeah, I know. I've known
we ask the hard questions here on our
that's great. Yeah, I've never been asked that before.
So, because I know there's even some people who I know who have worked internally in a company and grown YouTube channels and super successful, but they don't have their own, but they have a lot of knowledge. So that's why I was asking that, because it is hard to find.
I have a friend of mine. He grew the TubeBuddy YouTube channel to over 500,000 subscribers pretty much single-handedly. And in his particular case, he has a YouTube channel as well. But if you were to go to look at his YouTube channel, it'd be like, yeah, he knows what he's doing. But you might not be just based on the current size of his channel and things like that. You might think like, I probably shouldn't listen to this guy. But in reality, like he's extremely tuned in when it comes to YouTube, and he's helped not just them, but he actually worked with other companies through them and helped them with their channels as well. So so it's really hard to really say like, do X, Y, Z to kind of vet them. I would just think through the information that they're sharing with you and just double check right before you apply something to your channel. So for example, I was watching a video the other day of one of those channels that you're talking about. And I can usually, when I'm watching those, I can pretty quickly figure out, kind of where they're at. And I was watching one of those channels, and they mentioned how important it is to make sure that your video title is what your file name is named as, or the keyword that you're targeting. And the hilarious thing about that is that information is information that people were sharing like before I even came onto YouTube. Like that stopped even mattering a really long time ago. But for them, because they just ran across that information somewhere else online or whatever, for them, they're sharing something that they think is some type of, power tip, even though, it's something that's not, valid, these days. So just make sure you double check that kind of thing. When you get a piece of information, you're like, hey, this is great. I'm going to try to apply it to my YouTube channel. Just, do a little bit of, a little bit of Googling around first, maybe watching some other videos before you fully commit to the idea.
Yeah. Well, somebody who always has great ideas is you, Nick Nimmin. So before we wrap up, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you. I mean, seriously, not only does he, he gives great advice on his channel, but he has other really good people on his channel as well that are other great. There's like a posse of these people that keep coming on his show that you, and that's who you would go to. Like if we talked about vetting people, look at like Nick's channel and then like, Daryl's on, Roberto's on. And all these people, and you can learn different aspects and things from that. But sorry, I'm rambling, but tell people where they can find you and they can subscribe for themselves, Nick.
Yeah. So if you just go to nicknimmin.com, all roads will lead to Rome there. Or you can just hop on YouTube, look for my name there, which is up on the screen right now. And then YouTube will, put me in front of you if you, take that route through YouTube search. The fact that we've been talking here and you've been watching, there's a good chance you might even get a recommendation here soon anyway. So just keep an eye out for my face on a thumbnail here over the next week.
Awesome. And where can people find all things Grace Duffy? Because if you guys haven't noticed, there is a new lower third for my friend Grace. So talk real quick about that.
I started working for Volley. Mike. Yeah, so I started working for Volley this week. And if you're not familiar with it, do we have our lower third for where to find our group on Volley?
Yeah.
There you go. Join us at social media news live.com/chat.
Yeah.
And you can join our Volley group and find out what it's all about. But that is where you can find me now and here on the show, because I will never, ever, ever leave Jeff.
I can't get rid of her. She's like no, that's great. So
we're like peanut butter and jelly.
Everybody's saying congratulations, Grace. So that's great. I'm so happy that she is at Volley. We've loved Volley for a long time. And we'd love for you guys to join.
I use it for my channel members.
Yeah,
I use Volley too already. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, and we interviewed Mitch Dong from, he's the head of community there, and the one that just like kind of was like, come on over. I didn't think that was in May. So, go back, through our videos, go back and listen to that and find out how cool it is. And it's free to use, video messaging. So like we ask nothing of you than to come talk to us.
That's right. And you can also talk to us and leave us a rating and review over our podcast. Make sure you guys go to any of your favorite podcast players. Leave us a rating and review because it really does help. Our next show is not going to be next week. I am taking a break. I'm going to be on vacation, but we will come back next week, the week after that, with some really great guests that we've got lined up for you for this next part of the year. But I appreciate all you. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Michelle, Brian, as always, Jim, all you guys who left great questions and comments today during the show. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
You can connect your Pro camera and then bring that into Zoom via Ecamm Live's virtual camera feature. So you can add your logo to the corner, and you can even add a QR code or swap it out with your social media handle. In fact, you can drag and drop any image or video, even GIFs, and you can add a PDF, PowerPoint, or Keynote presentation. So you don't need a videographer, a producer, or an editor to level up your Zoom meetings. You just need Ecamm Live.